your host and the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes.
All right, Brandon Rhymes here, Consumer Quarterback Show. We got a great lineup for you here on the program. Welcome to the Consumer Quarterback Show, powered by the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty. We like to feature our real estate listings live on air, and we also highlight some of the area's best business owners, entrepreneurs, CPAs, financial advisors, attorneys, all types of great real estate service providers as well. So we got a great lineup for you today. We're going to have attorney Frank Miranda on the show as well. He is a litigator and an attorney local here to Tampa Bay. We also have Tom Rydberg in the house, DK Mortgage. He's our mortgage partner, expert contributor on the show. We're going to talk with him about some of the FHA changes. We're going to talk about budgeting and also the number of realtors in Florida. We're going to talk about market dynamics. And also, we're going to pick on PNC Bank a little bit. They canceled a popular conservatives bank account. Interesting story and a clip I'm going to play with that as well. So we don't want you supporting the big banks. We want you supporting the local company that we endorse. That's Tom Rydberg with DK Mortgage here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, coming up in just a moment. And before we do, we got a couple of hot listings here in Tampa Bay. 907 Crenshaw Lake Road is one of our hot real estate listings here in Hillsborough County. 2425 square feet, 4 bedrooms, 3.5 baths. We got a ranch-style farmhouse on 3.16 acres. So you got a beautiful home on 3 acres of land, and it's a gorgeous remodel on the inside as well. You got stainless steel appliances, newly remodeled kitchen. It's a large home as well. You got a ranch-style home, open floor plan, natural lighting, and just a beautiful color scheme in this home. Again, over 3 acres of land. 907 Crenshaw Lake Road, Lutz, Florida, one of our hot listings from the Platinum MVP team. All right, here's a commercial property at 4404 Orient Road, 4404 Orient Road in Tampa. You're just down the road from the casino here at this awesome office building. You've got all 5 units that are currently leased out. It's a well-built office building, and it is a great opportunity for investment. Orient Road, Tampa, one of our hot real estate listings from the Platinum MVP team. You can see all of our listings at platinummvpteam.kw.com. All right, Tesla price slash as well, and recall. We're going to jump into that later on in the program as well. Let's welcome in Tom Rydberg. Welcome back, sir.
Hey, good to be here.
Yes, sir. Thanks for coming in, and thanks for kind of monitoring the market for us. And you said there's some FHA changes, some changes in FHA, that is.
Yeah, these are really big ones for a couple of reasons. So Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac made some changes in the last month or so we talked about on the impact of credit score and debt-to-income ratio, so which were negative for the most part to consumers. Now FHA is gone, and they've pulled back some of their fees for the monthly PMI or mortgage insurance that a consumer borrower pays, which is 30 basis points. So it's basically like a 30, instead of getting, let's say, 7%, it's like getting 6.7.
Okay.
So that's a direct savings, and it's really going to increase the value of the FHA loan, which there's a lot of confusion about. So I think it's important for realtors to understand that, FHA is really designed to make it easier for the consumer, the first-time buyer, or I think there's a lot of misconceptions. It's for the second, you don't have to be a first-time home buyer to get an FHA loan.
Okay.
So this impact means that you're going to see more offers come through. It's the best thing for the consumer. And what I think happens sometimes on listings, realtors will put conventional or cash for financing options, one of those two. And sometimes for legitimate reasons. The condition of the house makes it just problematic to get FHA financing. But sometimes they just do that out of habit. And there's really nothing wrong with that property that's going to inhibit its ability to get FHA financing.
Right.
But the realtor, the buyer sees that, and they think, well, I have to go with a conventional loan, even if it's not in my best interest. Rates could be a full point higher, and these are good buyers. So instead of getting 6.25 hypothetically, they could be at 7.25 because of their credit scoring being just under 700.
Right.
Because of a medical collection, a $50 dentist bill.
Right.
So I think being able to kind of guide people through that and communicate with the realtors that, hey, this is a great loan, and it's actually more likely to close on time without any hiccups than a conventional loan is really important.
Yeah.
So I know in my office, I'm seeing a lot more recommendations for FHA.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense if you can get a cheaper money, and the programs are still pretty strong. It makes sense, and I think there are misconceptions out there between FHA, conventional, and VA loans, especially with some of these novice realtors that maybe not doing enough business, and they just kind of go with the flow and maybe hear those rumors. But yeah, as long as you're the property structurally sound, free of leaks, there's not anything major wrong with the property, you should be fine. Now, you got to be careful of what addendums you have, and those contracts do state different types of repairs necessary for the seller to contribute up to X amount of dollars or percentage of loan amount. So those are the things I think that you've just got to make your seller aware of. And I always recommend those pre-listing inspections, too. I like to work with Jay Smith, A Snoop Inspection, and Dan and Melissa Menikheim as well at SEC Inspections. And, get those pre-inspections done. That way you know what you're looking at in terms of especially the 4-point, the plumbing, the roof, the electrical, and the AC. Those are the key components.
Absolutely. And I've even had buyer agents and my clients, as they go for a second, walkthrough, take some pictures. I mean, I'm not an appraiser. I can't read their mind 100%, but I have a pretty good idea. I can send it to management. They can kind of look at it and say, do you think this is going to be a problem? But you had mentioned something really important. It's setting the right expectations. So the listing agent setting the right expectations for their seller. Like, hey, look at this offer. Yes, it's FHA financing. Timeline is good. I know this lender, worked with them before. And throw in a buffer, go into it assuming you're going to have to do $500 worth of repairs.
Right.
The other thing with FHA is there's a mandatory clause for the appraisal. So it gives the buyer the option to basically get out of the contract if the home doesn't appraise for the purchase price, which the reality is, except for last year, even on conventional loans, that's often the case.
Yep.
That there's always, unfortunately, there's a way to get out of a contract besides just, so we try to, if we have an FHA buyer, I'll reach out to the listing agent and explain, hey, it's FHA. This is why we're doing it. It's a great program for our clients. And we'll order the appraisal right away so that there's not a delay, because we don't want to be – and usually you have a pretty good idea if you're going to have an issue with the value anyways.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, absolutely. And we always talk about working with the local lenders, the local economy here in Tampa Bay. And I want to play this quick clip here. This is something I just heard on the Charlie Kirk show. He was doing an interview with Don Jr., and Don had a company that had the bank account just cleaned out and a cashier's check sent back. Listen to this story.
No reasoning.
PNC
didn't
Bank.
even bother to give us a phone call. And this is PNC Bank. I mean, this is a major national bank. Just decided that, I guess, someone who's willing to show people both sides of the news, not even writing our own, that was enough. So, I got pretty upset about that. Got on social, and a bunch of people from the MAGA movement and big conservatives started tweeting about it. You were one of those, Charlie, so I appreciate that, because we have to highlight the attack that is going on conservatives on a daily basis. They don't think we should be able to bank. There is a social credit system that's happening right now. And if we're going to wake up one day, if we don't get active and involved and push back and find out that, hey, we'll be locked out of your Tesla because they didn't like what you said and they're going to deem you parked for the next week or 2 weeks or months or ever. And, this wasn't a phenomenon while Trump was in office. It continues to happen. And again, if they can do it to a guy like me, who can't they do it to? And more importantly, who won't they do it to? I mean, it's not like they're naive that I don't have a platform to actually fight back or numerous. But the average American, a bank doesn't like that you actually also distributed some conservative content from, say, Breitbart News or the Charlie Kirk show.
Yep.
That was deemed enough to be like, we wouldn't even think about doing business with you from PNC Bank. That's a real problem in America right now. So, so much of what I've been talking about, even for the last year, it worked out so interestingly because my good friend Michael Seifert, who's taking Public Square, his company that aggregates all of the businesses that are willing to sign on and say, hey, we believe in free speech. We believe in these conservative values. Like literally the week he's taking Public Square public was the week that PNC Bank tried canceling me and my news app to be able to show both sides of the story. And it's why we have to be engaged in that battlefield, Charlie.
Yeah, so it's a very pernicious situation where it's just a gradual thing. It keeps happening over and over with these different issues, whether it's being censored online, what you say, but to pull somebody's money out of their bank account and not even tell them, and then have that client have to call you and say, hey, I think I got hit with some fraud here. What's happening? And they said, no. You have a cashier's check for the full amount. I think at some point in the interview it said it was like $600,000 or whatever. You have a cashier's check on your way back to you. But just the fact that these big banks have the moxie or the to do that to people, it's unbelievable.
It's
Here we
scary.
are.
Yeah, and you won't hear that on the evening news.
Right,
That's
exactly.
right, for sure. So and no explanation since that is starting to hit Twitter.
Right.
I mean, PNC has no response, or just kind of letting
Not that
it
I've
blow
seen.
over. Yeah, I haven't either.
They just don't like certain people.
Right,
and
right.
And they're going to pull the money out and send it back to you.
Yeah, scary.
Yeah, it's a scary thing, and that's all the reason why too. Especially we want you shopping small, shopping local. Working with the local lenders that support this economy. And so we're talking with Tom Rydberg here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. I'm your host Brandon Rhymes, and Tom, talk a little bit about how you're different from those big guys, and you didn't take the bailout money, from years back, and that's another thing that really frustrates you is you look at where our tax dollars go. A lot of times it's to bail these big guys out.
Yeah. For sure. So we're different in a lot of ways. Obviously, much smaller, a lot more nimble. As far as local, my daughters and my wife will make sure that every dollar stays local. Believe me.
Right.
Yeah, that we earn. So
exactly.
That'll definitely roll through. But we're a lot more nimble. We don't get into the politics of the world. We try to. I love what I do, and I think that's the biggest compliment I get is I'm passionate.
Yeah.
I wake up every day, even Sundays, what needs to be done.
Right.
I love working with you and your team, and I think you guys have that same tenacity and excitement about not only our industry, but also our local market. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to talk about the industry now. I want to ask producer Alex to throw up this realtor. So if you look at, the inventory, if you look at the inventory levels and, also the agent count. So we just had family reunion from Keller Williams, and, of course, they do all the national stats, things happening. But I thought this was interesting. I saw this on social media posted by Jessica, one of the real estate coaches with Keller Williams. But look at the Florida agent count. This is the actual real estate agent count. So back in 2000, there were 67,000 388 real estate agents, licensed realtor agents in Florida. And then fast forward all the way to 2022, we're up to 223,084. So that number has, more than quadrupled, right? I mean, that's a big number. So even in 21, it was 213,000. So what's going to happen, though, is, the way the economy is shifting is that number is going to start coming down.
Yep.
Okay, so that number is going to start coming down. Also, you're going to see price changing, prices dropping, and it's going to slowly lag, but we're going to start seeing that now because of the market. I've got the stats here for Pinellas County, for example. So if you look at Pinellas County, the statistics, we've got a 52% absorption rate. Last month, at the end of last month, we had 1,015 sold, and divide that by 1,970 that are listed, that gives you 52%. And then you divide that by 100, it's a 1.92, call it a 2-month supply of inventory here in Tampa Bay. It's what they call a strong seller's market. But these are the monthly stats that I'm always talking about here.
And interesting, of those, that inventory includes properties that are pending closing too.
Right.
So really, the inventory is less than that.
Yeah.
So somebody that's looking today, not all those properties. So yeah, it's definitely shifted quite a bit.
Yeah, and you can pull any zip code. You can take pretty much any zip code, and you pull up the latest data in terms of what are the price reductions. Our website will do that for us. It'll show us the number of reductions in that particular zip code. And out of any zip code, there's around 100 to 200 properties that have reduced in the last 7 days. So in the last 7 days, that many properties are dropping. So what does that tell you about the overall economy of the market? Is that, hey, we're in the middle of what they call a little bit of a correction. It's nothing major. It's not a depression, recession, any of that in terms of the real estate market. But yeah, so things are still solid though, because we've got a great governor, and things are still positive. People are moving here in droves still.
They are. Did you see those new stats about what states are trending population positive, and it's the same players on both sides.
California lost over 300.
Illinois, California are losing.
New York,
Florida, Texas, South Carolina are gaining.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and that ship is not going to turn around anytime soon.
No.
So
absolutely. Let's take a quick break there, Tom.
Sounds good.
Do you want to tease what we're going to talk about next?
Well, I was just the comments about the numbers for the realtors.
Okay.
I was curious if you have any idea how many of those are local, meaning they're residents of Florida, and how many are dual agents from another state.
Oh, okay, interesting. That would be an interesting stat to pull up. Let's take a quick break. We're going to come back more with Tom Rydberg here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. We're going to talk about budgeting as well. Budgeting is such a key part for folks, and we're going to jump into that rent versus own analysis. That's something that's important as well to talk about. Coming up later on, we've got attorney Frank Miranda as well, local real estate attorney, litigator, and owns a title company right down the road here on Cypress. So more from our expert contributors coming up, plus feel-good story of the day. Radio station raises record-breaking $1.4 million for Johns Hopkins Children's Hospital. We'll be right back here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
Online at consumerqb.com.
All right, welcome back. Brandon Rhymes here, Consumer Quarterback Show, powered by the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty, and Livian Coastal Elite is the new brand underneath the Keller Williams umbrella. We got a hot listing here at 3058 Mildred Drive in Palm Harbor. This is another one of our beautiful waterfront properties. This is on a canal with access to Lake Tarpon, 1380 square feet. You got 3 bedrooms, 2 bath. This is located on a spacious corner lot. You got a fenced-in yard as well that has a double gate, so people love that. They can park their boats and trailers in the back there, and it'll be in the backyard, fenced in. Granite countertops. You got wood accent walls, screened-in patio with a pool, and you got a backyard dock on the canal that's leading out to the largest lake in Tampa Bay and a lot of Central Florida as well. 3058 Mildred Drive, Palm Harbor, Florida, and that's beautiful Pinellas County right here in Tampa Bay. 14137 Finsbury Drive in Spring Hill, another one of our listings. Here on the team, Spring Hill, Florida. This one's 2747 square feet, 4 bedrooms, 3 bath, cozy entry room, and you also have granite countertops, fully enclosed lanai, his and her walk-in closets, massive home office, plenty of natural lighting. Finsbury Drive, Spring Hill. You can see all of our listings at platinummvpteam.kw.com.
This is God's country.
And a quick shout out to our friends at Discovery Golf Cars. If you're looking for a golf cart, reach out to Discovery Golf Cars, multiple Bay Area locations here in Tampa Bay, and longtime friends of the Consumer Quarterback Show. DiscoveryGolfCars.com. Let them know the real estate quarterback sent you. All right, Tom Rydberg's in the house, talking about mortgages, talking about real estate and different aspects. So we wanted to get to the rent versus own analysis, but before that, you had also mentioned budgeting. That's such a key component when you're looking at, setting that budget aside, and what can you attribute to housing? So many people are putting so much money towards housing these days, are forced to.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, it's a common question I get. Normally more with first-time home buyers. They'll ask, how much can I get pre-approved for, or how much should I? And I said, well, your spending habits better than I do. So we do suggest people try to fill out a budget, and it can be a little, some really basic ones online that you can find. And something's better than nothing. And you can kind of see where your money's going. A lot of credit card statements will kind of break down your spending habits, and you can kind of see, where is there an opportunity to save some money and maybe get something, increase your budget on how much is allowable. So we have general guidelines that I'll review with clients, but there's no one number for everybody. But I think everyone should kind of review their budget. It's a good tool for goal setting. Budgeting to buy a house, a new house, but maybe it's a vacation or some other luxury item, right? So you make some sacrifices here, then, this is what you're going to get for it.
Yeah, and especially what we just talked about too, with the number of realtors, how that agent count's going to go down, and you're going to see consolidation in the industry. It kind of goes back to the 80-20 rule. 20% of the agents doing 80% of the volume. So what happens is during that time is if you got to go get a little bit leaner. You want to do red light, green light on your expenses as a business owner too, to be careful that you're not spending in some areas where maybe you shouldn't be, and you can tighten your belt a little bit in certain areas.
All of us, yeah.
Let's talk about the rent versus own analysis, because I think too many people out there are renting, Tom. It's something that my heart really, kind of goes out to those folks. They're spending money in areas they don't need to. They could be putting that into a mortgage, building wealth. The American dream is still somewhat alive, despite BlackRock and some of these huge trillion-dollar companies buying up inventory and, turning our country into a rental economy. But talk to me about how your rent versus own analysis works.
Well, I got a great tool. I can use it any place in the country. Give me a zip code, give me a price range, and we'll send you an analysis of kind of your break even. Obviously, when you buy, you have some hard cost up front. So, owning over renting, unless you see a huge appreciation the first year, typically it takes a couple of years to see the benefit of owning. But as the years go by, it's like you can't ignore it. That
Right.
You're definitely much better off. So if you do have clients or listeners, they can just shoot me an address, email it to me, say I want a rent versus own analysis, and I can kind of break down where they're going to be now, 5 years, 10 years. A lot of people will do that even for maybe retirement planning,
Right.
where they're going to be, and graphs and pictures, and those are great for goal setting too.
Right.
To kind of have a picture painted for you of what the possibilities are.
Sure, absolutely. Final 25 seconds back to you. How do you want folks to connect?
Well, email's easy, closefaster@gmail.com. Website is pretty cool. A lot of tools on there. Loansearch123.com. And I always answer my phone. So 630-550-2656.
Closefaster@gmail.com. Nice email there, quick and easy. And then get that rent versus own analysis. Make that a goal. Maybe it's not for you. Maybe it's a friend or family member. Get that rent versus own analysis, and let's get you on the road to home ownership, or maybe even multiple investment opportunities. Tom, thanks a lot. Great information
Good
today.
seeing you.
Appreciate that. All right, we're taking a quick break. We're going to come back with attorney Frank Miranda in the house. We're going to talk with him about the real estate market, real estate closings, potential, different litigation areas, and contracts as well. Real estate contracts is a big topic. We'll be right back here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
Thanks for listening to My Daddy's Show. Please make sure to send him all of your real estate deals and subscribe to the Consumer Quarterback Show podcast on iTunes and Spotify, or check out our YouTube channel.